So, as you can see here, the data I've collected shows that way more songs are in F minor than any other key. And this is very interesting. And we'll get to why it's like very interesting in a little bit. But here's how I collected the data. So this is all from Monstercat's new releases playlist, okay, on Spotify. And so what I did was I did not include remixes. I did not include like songs in a major key. And I didn't include songs with a relatively unprocessed, pronounced vocal, because in that case, the singer's range has pretty much everything to do with what key the song's in. So I didn't want it to be up to the singer's range. I wanted it to be, about the sound alone of the instruments and whatnot. So, that information is all down here. I'm gonna make this document public, so you can look at it yourself, maybe copy it and add to it. Who knows? And all these links that I'm going to use, all these tabs, I'll link those as well. But so if we look at the bar graph, this is the bar graph, and F minor 15, and then second place E minor at 7, and F and E are actually really close together. So in terms of like spectrum, they're pretty much in the same place. So this definitely has a lot to do with like where they are spectrum wise. And nothing to do with like how easy it is to play or whatnot, because you see that like C minor is all the way at the bottom, and C and F are just about as easy to play as each other on the piano. So yeah, there you go. So I have two theories right now. The first one is super weak, so I'll get that out of the way, and it's that F and E kind of have a good relationship with the human hearing range. Okay, the human hearing range goes down to 20 hertz, but most people can't hear like perfectly down to there. Most people can hear just a little bit above that. So if we look at the super low sub E and sub F that you would normally hear in songs, they are just about twice the bottom of the human hearing range. Okay, and we do know that in music and sounds and whatnot, a ratio of 2 is a nice thing, and we like ratios of 2, but it's super weak. I don't really have a good reason why that would be significant. So there you go. That's the first one. Now what's the second one? The second one is that it has to do with Monstercat. Okay, and the fact that artists, when they're making music for Monstercat, know that Monstercat caters more towards people in their homes / on their own audio setup. Okay, earbuds, headphones, Bluetooth speakers, that kind of thing. Okay, and that is different. Now, you might be saying like, okay, well, what's the big deal? Like, why is it different? Different than what? Different than this. Okay, when I was researching, I only found one article that actually was addressing the same topic, and this is it. And this guy surveyed 1,500 plus dance tracks from the past 5 years. Now, this article was written in April 11th, or it was posted April 11th, 2011. So these are 6 to 11 years old, these tracks. So stuff has changed since then, and maybe that's the difference, or maybe it's Monstercat as opposed to mixed in key, which was the database he used. Looks like, but he found completely different data. He found A minor was the top one. I literally got nothing in A minor out of the 41 that I took. None of them were in A minor. Okay. And F minor's, in the top half, but it's nowhere near this stark victory like it is here. Okay, so he gives a very good reason, very good explanation, and that the best clubs in the world almost all have function 1 systems, and it's important to know what these speakers excel at. The primary range of these specific bass speakers is 45 to 80 hertz, and ideally you want a bass note sat nicely in that region, preferably towards the bottom end for that inside your bass, inside your belly bass that people love so much. And then he says, A minor, the root of A minor is 55 hertz. A is 55 hertz. Yes, it is. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, good. So that makes a ton of sense, but we have different data than that. So what's our explanation? Well, I thought, okay, well, if it's Monstercat catering towards consumer speakers, maybe it's because consumer subs are different. And they are a little bit. So I looked up some consumer subs, and this one is 32 to 120 hertz at plus or minus 3 dB. And so F would actually sit nicely towards the bottom end and inside of that range. So I think for this one, F would be great. And for this one, it's also a little better. The range goes down to 40 and up to 120 hertz on this sub. So, F actually is inside of that range at that point, at minus 3 dB. So who knows? Maybe that's why. The rub is that these artists, these Monstercat artists, most of them do club gigs too. Like they don't just post music to Monstercat. They do club gigs as well. So it still doesn't make a ton of sense because music might have changed, but speakers have always kind of been the same. Like people are always kind of refining their speakers, but speakers are pretty much the same as they've been for a long while. And so I really don't quite know what to think of all this because they do club gigs. Most of these artists do club gigs. I mean, so there you go. F isn't like extremely far away from A minor or anything, but this guy also, it wasn't as stark of a, like, one of them is like super high and then the rest of them are all really low. A minor was very closely followed by D minor and then C, pretty gradual. Unlike mine, which is definitely not as gradual. So there you go. Yeah, so one last thing. We're going to look at a sub bass here, and I'm going to play some notes and see, listen to this part on whatever you listen to music on, preferably, and see which one you think sounds like, better in terms of power and audibility. So here's F. Okay, those are the general bass notes that you'd get in F minor, and here's A. Okay, so which one did you think sounded better? For me, personally, I thought F minor was actually a little bit better. Now, I'm listening in headphones, so maybe that's why. But again, talked about that. So there you go. I still don't know the answer, obviously, because they do club gigs, so what's up? So I want to know what you guys think. So leave a comment or a reply, whatever. Tell me what you think the reason is for this change. Yeah, look forward to seeing you next week, and thanks for watching.